The leaders, though, they're all over each other. Oh, and Randall is sliding around in the Kerrick McGale. Jordan Lloyd behind him. We said that this series is about these two. They're first and second in the points, but they're the other way around on the racetrack right now. Randall has 2 seconds this weekend. Lloyd with a race win in the first race, but unfortunately finished 9th. Would be too dissimilar to what happened in Townsville if he can get the win here, where he took 2 wins and a 10th. And Will Brown's also not letting these guys get away.
Just looking at the car language, Chad, certainly Thomas is moving around a lot more, so he's potentially lost a little bit of rear grip. You can see a bit more attitude in the car than Lloyd's certainly driving the car a lot straighter. And this is working into Will Brown's favour as well. If Thomas starts to get distracted, potentially he'll latch onto the back. We could have a 3-way dice here for the lead. So this is the closest Lloyd has been. Let's check out the lap times this time round.
He's got a great run down the front straight, hiding in the mist of Randall. He pops out of the slipstream just for a second. They whip through turn 1, almost 200 Ks on approach, and Randall's all the way to the exit curb. So much pressure. He needs to get all these points back on Jordan Lloyd while he can after missing out on the podium at the first round of Townsville. Look how good Lloyd is through turn 2. Gets right onto the back of Randall's gearbox. We have a battle for the lead. That looks set to go the whole way here.
Great exit speed out of turn 2 for Jordan Lloyd. He's very quick through here as well. This is where Thomas is particularly vulnerable. You can see big oversteer slide on the exit. He's right under the crash box. And this will potentially drag Will Brown even closer. So he's about 6/10 faster than last time around. We saw the lap times up on the screen for lap 8. So Lloyd clearly with a faster car in these closing stages.
Randall is really struggling for grip. But where can Lloyd make the move stick? The longer he sits behind him, and there he goes, he's gone wide at 8. And that just might be the move for the lead. They make contact at the exit. Oh, they just about hit each other again. One more time in the side pod for good luck, and Lloyd makes it stick.
That was Formula One-esque, wasn't it? Oh my gosh.
It's not over yet.
And they're going to have... So it was a bit of a, hey, give me room. No, I might just push you a little bit wide here. Hey, that's enough. Give me a little bit of room on the exit.
And let's go side by side down the front straight. 2 identical cars. They have equal horsepower. Randall wants to come over and steal some of that side draft, but Lloyd has got it done now. Take the high one, Randall. Great racing, brave stuff in trying conditions. A couple of teenagers showing their skill.
Now, if you're sitting at home saying, these guys are crazy, they're racing for sheep stations, well, the stakes are high. The winner of this championship receives $150,000 courtesy of Jayco. We call it the Jayco Pathway to the World, to go to Europe. And that's clearly what these 2 guys at the front and young Will Brown, they want to have a go. They want to get overseas and try and be the next Daniel Ricciardo. So that's why it's worth fighting tooth and nail for.
This is great. We have a replay coming of how this all unfolded. Randall opened the door by running wide.
See him looking there, saying, hey, give me a bit of room. There's one back. It's like a bit of hip and shoulder running for the boundary line.
We saw a fair bit of contact in that V8 Supercar race, and you usually can't get away with too much in an open wheeler. That was fabulous stuff, and now Will Brown's got around him. So he's fallen back to 3rd here. It sits BRM, AGI Sport, and then Dream Motorsport, the 3 teams that we have in our championship fighting for the top 3 spots. And can Will Brown go on with this maybe?
You know, Will Brown's got nothing to lose. He's still a solid top 5 in the championship, but he's a rookie. He's won a race in Formula 4 already. This was the pass. So I think Thomas might have run a little bit wide here. Yeah, he just got out off the road. And Will Brown was through. So Will Brown won the very first race in Jayco F4 at Townsville.
And then on the approach to the last corner, he had a spin right where it happened earlier. Oh, nice. The curb actually grabbed the rear wheels and hooked him back around again. Got away with one.
So he's back in 3rd position, but that's a real shame because he had a small moment there in the previous race while dicing with Lewis Leeds. And look at this, Nick Rowe, who was really strong in race 1 in the wet, he's arrived on the scene now.
It's going to make Will Brown's life miserable. They are AGI Sport teammates, but we know that Rowe is talented in these conditions after his win earlier. Can he pick up third? Randall, though, has been smart about how he's handled this, because he's still on for the round victory despite the fact that he's been passed by Jordan Lloyd. So it'll be some points in the championship that Lloyd will extend out, but for Randall, he will get his first winner's trophy if he can hang on to second, but that's not going to be easy with the hard-charging AGI teammates behind him, and that could have even further championship implications as he slides his way out of turn 6. He has horrible rear grip in this car right now.
So they were able to, it looks like Thomas was able to keep the speed going a bit longer than race 1, so they've made some tyre pressure adjustment, but clearly the setup in that BRM car for Jordan Lloyd just a little bit superior in the wet. We know there's very little between these two drivers, and Thomas is really struggling with rear grip at the moment. And you'd have to say Nick Rowe is the threat to get up into P2. It's only a handful of laps remaining. After that first race, he was bouncing around the marquee driver's lounge all afternoon praying for rain.
He got it. Just couldn't make the most of the start. That was the only problem. Dying stages of this race. We're about 15 seconds away from the time certain marker kicking in. So I highly doubt that we'll get all 15 laps in, which means that if you have a position to make, don't waste time in getting the job done.
So it looks like Will Brown's just potentially overcooked his rear tyre pressures, just chasing the other guys there. So he's dropped back a little bit. So Thomas Randall looks stable in second, and to take out the round win, which will be his first round win in Formula 4 this year.
When the first other to have won a race, a round, I should say, other than Jordan Lloyd. But this isn't over yet. The next time by will be the last lap we're hearing. And there's still a score to be settled. As, oh, he locks the rears trying to get around his teammate. They're all slipping around down at turn 6.
This is the time when the dads in the pit lane start to look away from the monitor, I think. Or in Shane Brown's case, I've seen him put his head in his hands quite a bit. This will be one of those occasions. Very nerve-wracking. For Nick Rowe, it's his grandfather. That's right. John Fenton, our Rowe's gone wide, and all that hard work has been undone. Surely he'll be too far back to get around Will Brown now, but he is on for the podium nonetheless. He should stand on the third step of the podium. And meanwhile, Jordan Lloyd is en route to setting the fastest lap of the race on what will be the penultimate lap. So he's really lowered his eyes and pushing on with it. Final lap right now. It's Lloyd, Randall, Brown on the racetrack. But Randall, Lloyd and Rowe on the podium at this stage. And there we go, confirmation of this being the final lap. It's ended time certain due to the wet conditions. Boys not being able to turn lap times quite as quickly as they would in the dry. We were pretty much a second off V8 supercar pace in the dry weather. Yeah, very quick cars around here, being full throttle through turn 1. Thomas Randall having a bit of a slide around, as is Will Brown. But you've got to hand it to Jordan Lloyd. Drive-through penalty can very easily rattle a young driver. But he was certainly pretty quiet after that second race, the earlier race today, but he's bounced back in great style. And that'll put him second for the round and cement that championship lead heading into the next round of Jayco F4 at Sandown in just a couple of weeks' time. It also means that Randall only gets 6 points back on him in the championship. So you'll have still a handy lead of around 34 points off the top of my head. I was never very good at maths in high school, Cameron. And I'm worse, so I won't even attempt it. Last couple of corners for Jordan Lloyd, who's put in a great performance. If anything, it looks worse now than it was at the start of the race. Certainly more standing water around, isn't there? A lot of spray coming out of those wet weather tyres. And he's turning lap times of 1:44s, which is pretty much what the V8s were turning in the wet. So goes to show you this kid is a talent. Last corner. And for the third consecutive race, Jordan Lloyd will pick up 2 race wins in the weekend. But he won't step onto the top of the podium this round, because that'll go to the man who will cross the finish line in second. Jordan Lloyd goes
for another race win and just maintains that championship lead. Randall crosses in second and will win his first ever round of Cam's Jayco Formula 4. Congratulations to Dream Motorsport. They joined BRM in the round winners list. AGI will have to wait until their first. They couldn't quite get it done on home soil, but at least they've added another race winner to their list this weekend in Nick Rowe, side by side across the finish line between Vernon and Hayek. That was exciting. Jordan Love finishing sixth. That's his best race result since joining the series, and also great effort from Zane Goddard. His best result, finished 8th in the first ever race. He comes home in 5th on this occasion, so not a bad effort at all from the 15-year-old. Lewis Leeds couldn't hang on for another top 5. He finished back down in 10th. Over the page, Drew Ridge and Frankie Maiolo round out the field. An exciting final race.